Welcome to the next episode of Anand Sahib. Anand Sahib is all about how the wisdom of the true Guru can give us joy, peace, and long-lasting happiness. And in this third episode, we're going to be looking at appreciating what we have in life and living in the present moment. It's so wonderful to have you join us, and I'm really looking forward to sharing today's episode with you. In the third episode, Anand Sahib talks about, Forever Master, what isn't there in your home? In your home is everything. To whom you give, they receive. They forever praise and praise, who embed your name in their minds. Those whose minds embed the name resound with endless melodies. Says Nanak, Forever Master, what isn't there in your home? So in this verse, we start to see what the mindset of someone who is receiving the wisdom of the Guru is like. And here there is a shift in perception. The perception moves away from life being empty to life being full. Life being always about getting more to life being satisfied. Life is in abundance. And this is not how most of us live our lives. Most of us live in what I call receiving mode, where every moment is about how can I make this moment better? What can I do to add more to this moment right now? And this becomes our daily habit. We're always waiting for something else, some external gift, something that we feel can make this situation slightly better in life. And when we get those things, we have this perception that only when I get them, that's when I'm going to feel happy. And until that happens, happiness can't come. Even in this very moment, happiness can't come until this slight thing can change. And it's so easy for us to always forget to look at all the things that we have in life, that we always fall into the trap of wanting more in our careers, in our finances, in our family lives, in our relationships, in our material possessions and things that we own. Even if we just want to change what the weather is, we're always looking at something needing to change in order for us to feel better. And we assume that when something changes, we'll feel better. But what happens more often than not is when those things do change, even in your favor, you then look for the next thing to make you feel happy. So we're never really taught how do you stay happy in this moment no matter what's happening. And this is what the Guru is trying to do, is trying to give us a shift in our perception. And the way I like to think about it is, wherever you are in life right now, think about how there must have been a moment in time where you would love to have had what you had right now. So I remember that when I was in university, I never wanted to study. I hated exams and never wanted to do anything to do with my coursework or anything like that, because I knew that the only reason to be doing this degree is so that I can get a job. So in my head, the degree was a means to an end, and I just couldn't wait to work, and I couldn't wait to have a job, because I felt when I have a job, I'll be free from all my studies, and that's when I'll have lots of money in my life. But when I'm working, I think back to my time at university, and I remember how much free time I had, and how I was free to just do what I wanted, and I'd go to university and I'd had friends there. And it's the same cycle that we do throughout our life. Wherever we are, we think that there's something other out there that's going to make our life feel better. And then when you're in this moment of time, maybe there's a future moment that's better, or you're looking back in the past and thinking, wow, those times were great. I never truly appreciated what I had then. So this thing that our mind does to always look at the past or the future as though happiness is in some other moment and never in this moment is actually a habit that we've created. And the Guru gives us the tools and the practical steps that says, how do we actually create a new habit? So we want to now start looking at how do we make the habit to make this moment feel good. And we don't always just look at long-term goals to make us feel better. sometimes we even do that for very short-term goals. Like we need to make very small changes, or we need to receive some tiny sensory pleasure that makes this moment feel better. So wherever we are right now, if you're sitting at work, you might be thinking, I can't wait for lunchtime. I can't wait to taste something good for lunch. Or I can't wait to go home and then I can watch the movie that I've been waiting to watch, or I've been some music that I've been waiting to listen to, or I can't wait till the weekend so I can go out with my friends. We're always waiting for small-term pleasures that we think are slightly in the future. And this becomes a cycle that we're always chasing. And notice that no matter what you're experiencing, you always feel that that moment can get slightly better. So even when you're watching the movie, or you're out with your friends, or whatever you're doing, your mind has the ability, even then, even though you've been looking forward to having that moment, your mind has the ability to say, how can I make this moment even better? Wouldn't it be nice if this was there or something else was there to make this moment even better? So your mind has created a habit, and what we do is we always put pleasure in the future. And when that pleasure happens, we never actually reflect on that pleasure then leads to a pain. Every pleasure seems to have a pain attached to it. And what I mean by pain is that there's a pain that we have right now. So we think, if only I can get that pleasure. We get the pleasure, and then it very quickly fades. The joy of the pleasure very quickly fades, and we start to look for the next pleasure. So we have this constant cycle of chasing pleasure, but then being disappointed by it, and we have the pain for it. So we're always in this cycle of having a dependency on something temporary to give us a joy. And what we don't realize is temporary things can only ever give you temporary happiness. And by temporary things, I mean short-term experiences, going out with your friends, that's not gonna last, or enjoying a great meal, or listening to a great piece of music. Every pleasure is temporary, so it can only give us a short-term happiness. And whenever that happiness runs out, we then look for the next one. And we don't realize that behind all of that is this constant yearning for more all the time. And that yearning for more is where we start to feel disappointed. And so many times in our life, no matter what we're experiencing, I don't know if you've ever noticed that if you're spending a couple of months planning a holiday, you're always thinking, I can't wait to be on that holiday. When I go on holiday, that's when it's going to feel amazing. And you go on holiday, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but even there's always something missing. You might be sitting and viewing this amazing view or something, and there's a part of you that says, but this is not going to last. So the happiness that I was looking for is so short. It's only here for this short amount of time. You come back from your holiday, you're not happy that you've been on holiday, you're disappointed that you're not there anymore. So you have to now start planning the next one. So you're always in this cycle, and we don't realize that we need to find a more permanent, sustainable way of getting happiness that isn't dependent on always achieving the next goal. So the mind is constantly getting bored, and we always move on to the next thing. And we think sensory pleasures is real bliss. And the Guru is trying to use terminology to make you aware that these short-term pleasures is not real long-term bliss. And that's why the words like Ananda being used, this real deep sense of bliss and joy and fulfillment, is what the Guru is saying. You have an opportunity to experience this regardless of what's happening outside in the real world. And so we need to try and understand that we've created a habit of happiness being at some other moment. Happiness is never in this present moment. We always think happiness is either in the past, the old days were great, or it's at some point in the future. It's never now. And we're chasing this contentment, but we don't realize that the contentment that we feel can't come from some event. There's no event that can happen that can make you feel this true deep sense of contentment inside. So how do we do it? Well, if you're really lucky, then you will hear this wisdom of the Guru. This wisdom that changes your understanding. And remember, this is a blessing to have this way of thinking in your life, to learn these lessons that we never get taught in school. We never get taught how to manage our emotions. We never get taught about how we're constantly chasing happiness. And this is something that happens for all human beings, and we don't get taught how to do this. So when you come across the wisdom of the Guru, it's a huge blessing in life, because it's an opportunity for you to learn this timeless wisdom and change the habit of a lifetime. So what the Guru is offering is a new attitude, a new outlook, a new perception based on seeing life in abundance, not seeing life in terms of lack. So the words are, saachay, saahibaa, kya naahee, ghar tayrai. O forever master, what isn't there in your home? Ghar ta tayrai sab kuch hai. In your home there is everything. Jis dehe so paave. And there's a very important line here. But only a few people receive this. Only those who the oneness decides is able to think like this, or is lucky enough to think like this. The universe blesses people to think like this in this way. So there's only a few people who have this awakening or this new way of looking at life. And those are the lucky people who manage to find not only the wisdom, but also find the tools to live this way. So Guru is saying that you have a habit of looking at life in a different way. Well, you need a new habit. You need a new way of appreciating life, praising life, seeing in this present moment, wow, look how many beautiful things there are in this moment. Not the one thing that's missing. Don't just focus on the one thing that's missing in this moment. Think about this. You're standing in a queue in a supermarket, or you're waiting in a shop to buy something, and the queue is very long. Everything else is going great in your day, but just because that one queue is too long, the only thing we focus on is we start to get agitated. How do we make this queue shorter? Why don't they open more tills? Why don't I come back another day? Or maybe there's another till in a different part of the store that I can go to. So your mind is constantly agitated, even though everything else is great. You're looking for ways to make this situation better. And that's the habit that we need to look at. How do we spend this moment being joyful? How do we say, okay, I appreciate that there's one long queue in front of me, or there's one thing that's not going great in my life, but how do I remind myself to be in awareness of all the things that are going well? What do I do? So the Guru isn't just about telling you to think positive. The Guru is giving you the tools that how do you do this? And it's saying only the lucky people get this, and they get something called Naam. Naam is what we talked about in the previous episodes, is this reminder, is some way that you can always bring yourself back to appreciate the present moment, to be in joy and bliss. Because remember, joy is always something that you experience now. You can't experience the joy of tomorrow or the joy of yesterday. You can only experience the joy of now. And there is joy now. You just need to learn how to tap into that. And the way you tap into it is to not move your mind into different time zones, not to move it into the past or the future, but keep your mind here and remind yourself that in this moment, what have I got? What are all the great things that I've got in here? Remember, we talked about the attitude of gratitude. What can I be grateful for in this moment? And when you start to look at what's available in this very moment that you completely take for granted, otherwise you realize, wow, I actually have a lot. The fact that I'm standing in this queue means I have money to buy this. Means I don't have problems in my life, that this is the most important thing. This is the biggest problem that I have in my life, is to make this queue shorter. That means my life is full of so many different things. I have health. I'm standing here. I have wealth. I have so much going for my life. And we need to remember what we have. And this remembering what you have, remembering the abundance of the universe, remembering how bountiful the universe is. Every new day is a gift. You didn't make the sunrise. The sunrise is there as a gift to you. Every breath that you take is a gift. You don't make your breath. You know, sometimes we use this terminology, I'm breathing, but really you aren't breathing. The breathing is happening. Breathing is being gifted to you. The very fact that you're breathing can be recognized as a gift. When you start to appreciate what is happening in the present moment, and you live in this surrender of trying to change the moment, you live in a joy that you recognize that the universe is constantly giving, that is known as Naam, this awakened state of being. And Guru is saying Naam is a habit that you can be blessed with. Naam jinke man vasya vaje shabad kanere. Those who have this Naam in their mind, this name, this way of thinking, this awakened mindset, their minds resound with endless melodies. Vaje shabad kanere. There's no end to the joy and music and celebration that is happening in your mind. Why? Because you're always singing songs of distress, songs of worry, songs of anxiety. What's going to happen next? How do I fix the next problem? So your mind is singing a different song. And the Guru is saying, in this way of thinking, my mind is singing so many songs of joy. So this is the thing that is being offered to you by the Guru's wisdom. And there's only a few people who will hear this and will be lucky enough to actually transform their lives. A lot of people hear this wisdom, but they don't take it on. They're not ready. They don't believe it. They're not lucky enough to actually understand it. So very few people are actually in that mindset where their mind is rejoicing and celebrating. Very few people have that experience of life itself. And this mantra that I shared with you previously of this is you, this is you, this is you, you are in abundance. We can add another moment to that. We can add something more to that. And so what I try and do when I say the mantra, this is you, I now add, this is you, this is your grace. So I recognize this moment is you, O universe. And I also recognize that this moment is your grace. This moment is you, this moment is your grace. You remember that life belongs to you, O Master. The universe, the creator, the oneness, who is the master of all life, that is the one that is providing you all of this stuff. And every moment is your blessing. And remembering this is also a blessing. So Guru ends with, Kahe Nanak saachay Sahib kya naahee ghar tayrai. My only thing that I can say, says Nanak, I don't know what else to say. The only thing that I can say is, oh Master, what isn't there in your home? There's so much that I have to be appreciating and to be appreciative for. I hope you're finding these lessons useful. Please remember to share these with anyone who you think will benefit from these. And at the end of every episode, I always leave you with some questions. Remember to share the questions with people and use this as an opportunity to start reflecting on how do I feel about my life? Let me answer these questions so that I can start to make that transformation and share what I'm learning with my friends, so that together we can make sure we understand it. Make sure if something doesn't make sense to you, you talk to your friends and say, I didn't quite understand how I apply this in my life. How do you understand? Because that group learning is so important so that we cement this wisdom in our mind. This wisdom doesn't just become something that we read or we listen to. This wisdom becomes something that is cemented within us. So here are some questions for you to think about. Either write them down or discuss them in a group. Was there a time when you looked forward to where you are today in life? What desires do you have for the future that you hope will make you happier? What things do you appreciate in life now? How can you practice praise and appreciation at every moment?